One thing that every single bass I've ever caught had in common was that I caught every one of them using a reel and a rod as far as that goes. But if you don't pick the right reel for the job, you're gonna over or underwork yourself and you're not gonna be as efficient as you could be. I'm talking about picking the right gear ratio. There's a lot of different gear ratios out there on the market. I've got one laying here that from a 5.4 to 1, a 7.5 to 1, up to an 8.3 to 1. And each one of those has a time and place where it's going to be the reel for the job at hand. The 5.4 to 1, the time I'm going to pick it up is when I'm using, most times, a deep crankbait. You know, I'll use it some with smaller crankbaits in cold weather, basically to make myself slow down. But if I'm throwing a big, deep diving crankbait, I'm going to throw a 5.4 to 1 gear ratio reel out of that Bass Pro Shop Pro qualifier. It gives me more torque as the angler. I have to work less. If I try to throw that same crankbait on an 8.3 to 1 reel, it's going to be hard just to be able to turn that handle. Physically being able to turn that handle all day long is going to give myself a lot more fatigue than it will on that 5.4 to 1. The 6.8 and 7.5 to 1, those two speeds are fairly interchangeable for myself. I'm going to use them both kind of side by side. The 6.8 to 1 is what I crank with most of my shallow to medium divers on, stuff that runs up to 8 or 10 foot. That's primarily what I fish with my 6.8 to 1 reels. I do fish some of my top waters on the 6.8 to 1. The 7.5 to 1 is what I use for spinner baits, bladed jigs, buzz baits, winding and swim bait a lot of times. I like it on that 7.5 to 1. It's just fast enough that if a fish grabs that bait and comes at me, I can really take the slack out of the line. Just a little bit more so than that 6.8 to 1. 6.8 to 1 is not a bad one. 7.5 to 1 is just a little bit quicker to be able to do that, to get it out of the way. The 8.3 to 1 for me, the time when I use that reel is when I'm never fishing the bait with the reel, unless I'm swimming, like say swimming a jig and with braided line and really heavy cover. I'm going to go ahead and do that on the 8.3 to 1. But 9 times out of 10, I have to not be fishing the bait with the reel for me to use that really fast reel. All I'm using it for is to bring the line back in, make another cast, make another flip. So flipping, pitching, casting a football jig, casting a big worm out deep, those type of situations where I'm not fishing the bait with the reel, that's when I'm going to use that super fast reel. That's kind of my general rule of thumb. That's how I break it down. About 4 different speed reels is what I carry in my Nitro Z21 pretty much any time of the year.